The governor of Virginia, Mr. Northam, decriminalizes marijuana. Something that they said wouldn't be done here in the Commonwealth. Good news for a lot of us, right? Bad news for some of us. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Also, I want to talk about a movie I saw recently that everybody else has already seen. The Joker. I was expecting something, and I'll tell you what I got. There's a lot of people putting out these channels right now. So, it's really important, if you like some of these channels, to let them know. Interact with them. Hit the buttons. Likes. Subscribes. If there's anything that you appreciate, let them know you appreciate it. Otherwise, you're just one of the countless people who just kind of clicks on a video, watches it, and clicks away. There's more to this than just free everything, guys, and I would suggest kind of picking and choosing your battles. You don't have to pick me, per se, but do a little supporting. You've got the free time right now. It's not like you're in a hurry. So go downstairs in the video, and there's a little button, and click it. It says subscribe. If you click notifications, you'll get notified with a little tiny buzz right there on your thigh meat. Get that bacon shaking, right? We want that. We want that thigh high. We want you to get buzzed up on your thigh. And there's a little bell. You don't have to click the bell if you don't want to. You're gonna get notified anyway. But I would suggest click the bell, because if you really want to know what's going on here in the TSIME studios, that's the best way to do it. So I got to go light this, and when I get back, we're definitely going to be talking, because what else do you have to do here in the COVID? Although, working out, right? I could be working out with you guys. I tell you what, while I'm gone, drop and give me 20. Right, let's fucking do this. Let's put us on. Are we on? That's right. Why? Because we're always on. And did I get shit set up beforehand? Fuck no. Why? Because I don't give a shit. I'll do everything right in front of you. I'll let you see all the movements. You ever watch a starship captain running his ship? Probably not. Not many starship captains left in the world, you know what I mean? But here you get a rare opportunity to see how somebody does things, you know? They do them after the fact, completely wrong. Which is kind of the way we're doing things now, guys. They just legalized marijuana. And so many lives have been ruined in the process. Marijuana has been illegal for a long, long time. And I myself have been arrested for it so many times, man. I almost consider myself the marijuana warrior. Part of my crinkling bags. But I gotta put all these guitar picks away. Because like I said, I don't get shit ready before I start filming. Fucking A, because I'm Andy. And I don't have to do anything I don't want to do. And I don't have to start when I'm supposed to. Now I'm supposed to start. So a lot of people's lives got ruined. A lot of people went to jail for quite a number of years because they did God's green sticky. That sweet, icky. Oh my God. It kind of changed my life. It saved me from something, you know. If left up to the government, I would have been on Ritalin, Adderall, some kind of downer, something to take my mind away from me. But luckily, I grew up in a very positive environment. Not really. But in certain ways, I was afforded certain outs that other people may not have been afforded. My parents allowed me to do things. They didn't get in my way of lots of things. Occasionally there was some smashed guitars, shaved heads, you know, like threats of ultimate destruction. But also there was ways out. I left early, and marijuana kept me through a lot of it. Marijuana. What? I don't even like to say that word. I just like to, and I don't like weed because that just sounds like a worthless plant. So what I'm talking about, the plant, I guess I'll just call her. I mean, that's what I've always called her. My sweet baby, my ground baby. You know, like my adopted ground baby, because I didn't grow you, I didn't plant the seed, but I definitely adopted you with money and cash. That's how the adoption system works nowadays too. You just buy yourself some babies. If you got the cash, you got the cash, you can get whatever baby you want, man. If you stingy, if you misering, you might have to settle for, you know, one of them off-brand secondhand babies. But if you got the cash, you could just take the baby from pretty much anyone. You fight hard enough, but unless they fight back, motherfuckers. And then you're going to be sad and you're going to be stuck. You have to buy one of them off-brand babies. But whatever. You do what you want to do because you guys are fucking assholes. What am I talking about? Whatever. The adoption system, fuck them. CPS, foster care, they collude to take babies and sell them. There, I said it. Moving on, marijuana is going to creep into here very slowly. It's not going to be like DC where now all of a sudden you can just have weed delivered to your door, which is the case in DC. I could just have somebody deliver weed to me. Bloop. There it is, right there. In Virginia, it's going to take a while. It's just decriminalized, but you'll still get tickets for it. Things like that. You can't just walk around and smoke it. So let's not all get too happy. And also, you know, it's going to be, smokers have to be at least, now I don't know if it's 21, going to be 21 or 18, but either way, the minors are still going to be relying on the drug dealers. Only the drug dealers are then going to be committing felonies only. Drug dealers aren't really going to have to sell weed to anybody grown up, because if you're of age, you could just buy it legally and quicker in a sealed bag, specifically weighed out, and you can pick from different groups of what you want. What's that going to do to the drug dealers who come by and drop off a bag? And it takes them hours, and you wait and wait and wait. And sometimes they don't even show. You know, that's that stuff that we don't have to deal with anymore out in the city. But Virginia's still been lagging on that, but here we go. Good job, Northam, picking up the slack. A lot of kids are going to be stoned. There's pros and cons to all this, because people like myself who are pro the legalization of it have to suffer the moral consequences of, yeah, but we're going to be allowing it to be accessible more to the kids and normalizing it. They'll want it. They'll want to smoke cigarettes because they see you smoking cigarettes. They'll want to smoke weed because they see you smoking weed. If you're a parent and you have a child, they're going to want to emulate you. That's just what they do. Unless you're a villain and then they'll want to get away from you. But even then, they'll end up emulating you somewhere along the line. Yeah. So that happened. I don't know exactly what it means for us, although it probably means that a lot of people that are in prison or jail for marijuana offenses might get their sentences lessened or lowered if it was a Virginia crime. Hopefully that would be the case. If they suddenly just made it legal for everybody. It's kind of like the thing where they say if you make school free for everybody, what about everybody who paid? You know? And I think in that, there's a lot of us who are just going to have to bite the bullet and say, all right, we did pay, but future generations won't have to go through the same thing we went through. And then we say, yeah, we're just going to make a bunch of babies who don't have to go through anything. Personally, I wish I was a baby right now. Because seriously, I could crawl up on a titty and just go to sleep. It's real hard to keep a sleeping pattern, man, in this day and age. And, you know, if you're one of the lucky ones, you have somebody to come over and spend time with you. Somebody who will brave the storm to come and see you. I guess that makes you an essential, right? There's non-essentials and there's essentials. If somebody's coming to see you, you're essential. I saw that in a meme once recently, whatever. I'm seeing lots of memes, lots of things like that, and lots of us are really putting ourselves out there as science experts. I don't put myself out as a science expert, I promise you. All I do is ask questions. I'm not out there preaching. I got one of my posts taken down because I guess it was too straightforward. I believe that COVID-19 is a thing, but COVID-19 is not coronavirus, which has existed forever. COVID-19, they want us to think, is a mutated version that just jumped. It decided, I have the way and I'm going to jump through, I think it was pork, right? It's possible. And if you watch the movie Contagion, you'll think, wow, viruses can just mutate in a day. That's fucking crazy. But I don't think it quite works that way. I'm not an expert though. But I've actually heard people who claim to be experts explaining it. You know, that's what we get nowadays. We get to watch videos and we get to decide, is that person credible or not? And so many times it's hard to make the decision. It's hard to make the call. But that's what we have to do. We have to make the call. And so many articles I see are just wrong in the headline and get shared for the headline. So guys, really think about that when you go through. I'm not saying that COVID-19 is like exactly like the flu, and the flu does kill lots and lots of us. And my point here is, no matter how many people are gonna die, it just is a shame that we're not taking all of it seriously. I believe not in depopulation. I'm not a Georgia Guidestone guy. I don't think there's enough people on the planet. I think that we could run out. We could just run out of people. All of a sudden there's one guy and he's like, damn, man, I can't get all these girls pregnant. I heard COVID-19 attacks men way more than it attacks women. So what is that? Are we trying to build the Amazon here? Next thing you know, all the men are locked up for their seed. You could get sold into that real quick, buddy. Hey, you want to get nut? You want to bust a nut? Hey, bust a nut over right over there. You bust a nut, they will take care of you, right? Next thing you know, you've been wearing the same pants for like 4 years. You got a burn on your leg from that damn clamp that they got locked on, the chain. You're a man slave. They come in and they milk you, and you don't even want a nut anymore. You've lost all love for the nut. The only thing you want is to just get out and possibly beat the shit out of some of these women, because by that time, I'm positive it's not going to be illegal. If all the women are only running the world, they're going to be beating the shit out of each other. Ain't nobody else to beat people up but women to beat people up. Unless they make us fight each other. Oh, they're going to make men battle like gladiators. And then the winner, they're going to fucking mount him and take his seed and make little winner babies. Damn. Sacrificing the males, keeping the females and raising them up, only keeping some of the males, like breeding us like horses. It's gonna be fucking great, dude. I can't fucking wait, man. I'm a stallion, bro. Hey, I want to be bred up. Hook me up with like Brienne of Tarth. That way, like, my baby will be bigger, but like me, you know? And then we can just continue that cycle. That way I can become a giant. In my DNA, I could become a giant in future lives down the road. Believe in reincarnation. It's possible you're going to come back. You might come back as a fucking turtle. You might come back as a flying squirrel. A flying fish, dude. Hey, it depends, I think, on what you did in your life. So if you were a real bastard, you just might come back as like a earthworm. Then you might even just end up on the losing end of every possible angle. First of all, you live in the dirt and you eat dirt and you can't even see. You just roll around. If it rains real bad, you might get tricked and go up on the sidewalk where you're like, oh, this is not right. Get me out of here. And then people are walking by you. Bicycles are just... And you have a very high chance of getting smushed on that sidewalk. And if not, it could just be that rain hit hard or something got you up out there and got you on that sidewalk, and then the sun just comes out. And you're like, I need to get off of this sidewalk. I need to get over to the grass and get down into the wetness. Sometimes I see him like that, and I'm like, oh man, let me get you, guy. I go pick him up and I take him over to the grass, and I like pull up some grass and like dig a little mud, and I put them in there so they can dig down in the mud. Those, yeah, hopefully they survive. But some of those guys, it's a tragedy. If you look on the sidewalk, man, there are thousands of just dead worms sometimes, and it's horrific. Just to think of like that genocide. Would somebody should tell all the worms to stay inside. Somebody should spread the word to all the worms. We should make little tiny masks and give them out to all the earthworms and tell y'all, stay inside. If you see wetness, we'll make little umbrellas. They don't need a mask because they're not infected with COVID. But we'll give them all little umbrellas so when it rains, they don't have to come out and get scared. That's all I'm saying. We need to protect all life on this planet. If we could somehow learn how to levitate, we would not even have to harm a blade of grass. It's very possible then the powers that be, like the intergalactic beings, would think, hey, we can trust these people. They don't even want to hurt a fucking blade of grass on their planet, right? No more blowing up bombs. No more spreading diseases. No more fucking kids. No more fucking young ladies because they're 18 now. How about no more just like having any kind of fun? I don't know. What side do I lie on? I want to fuck this lady, but I want her to also be moral. I want her to like have a good life. And I've been taught that if a girl has sex, she immediately becomes emotional about it. So from the first time a girl has sex, she's going to change her emotions and she's going to feel she's going to be different and changed. So as a man, you're like, okay, I'm not going to, like, number one, I don't want to, like, take anybody's virginity, period, because I don't want to be responsible for sending them in any direction. I'm not a fucking a pinball game. I don't bounce girls around, and you never know where they're going to go. Just bing, bling, 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 there she goes, there she goes. She might come back to you. Oh, shit, click, you got to hit the button, click, 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 click. You see things going on, you try to cheat, the machine says tilt, and then you lose your turn and everything. Yeah, things can go bad quick, let me tell you. Speaking of things going bad, I'm going to talk now about the comic book world in general. I grew up with comic books. I grew up with Batman and Robin, smash, boom, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, Batman. You know what I'm saying? The originals. And then I remember the comic books. I remember reading Spider-Man 3 panels at a time in the funny pages of the Washington Post. 3 panels. You get 3 panels. There is Spider-Man standing there with a thing, and his head's buzzing, and he's like, looks like Doc Ock is looking for trouble. And then you see him, like, way in the back, Spider-Man, and then Doc Ock's there, and he's like, nobody's gonna stop me. I'm going in this bank no matter what. And he's pushing away a cop. And then on the 3rd panel, Spider-Man's like coming in behind him like, I gotta stop Doc Ock no matter what. And you know what? I used to sit there and wait for those 3 panels. I used to love those 3 panels. And you had to wait. You had to wait. It was like these old school games, Battleship back in the day. You could mail your move in, and it took literally 2 weeks to 3 weeks for them to mail back the move. And then you write down your move, and then you mail it back. We used to do some serious shit back in the day to game. You know, an online game was literally just a black screen with green words and us typing to each other as intricately and passionately as we could about what we were going to do to this ogre king and how we were going to take out all of his guys without losing any of ours in order to battle him. I mean, we really used to get into it. And things were really creative. We made up things back then. They're not making up anything anymore. I watched The Joker and I realized that they just took another slice of the pie. You know what the pie is? Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. Now, this comic book, guys, if you haven't read it, please look it up. You can find it. You could probably read it online somewhere. And it's just a comic book drawn by Frank Miller. And it's about Bruce Wayne 10 years after he retires, coming back. It has everything in it that they are covering in all of these movies, okay? Batman versus Superman, it's there. It's there, guys. And it's not quite what they show you. It's not the movie, okay? So they made a whole movie that is just mind-bogglingly different from the actual thing, the actual story. One of the greatest Batman stories ever told. The Dark Knight Returns. I could recommend to you, like, the second Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Part 2. I wouldn't do that because I didn't like it. I remember the original when he went in with passion on this story, and it was the greatest thing I ever read. The way Batman had to go and take out these beasts, you know, being completely broken and beaten by the mutant leader who looks exactly like Bane that Christian Bale fought. The mutant leader looks like Bane. Okay, they took Bane, the luchador monster guy, from the comic books. He was a luchador. with a black luchador costume. Okay? And they took the mutant leader, who was like a tough motherfucker with these fucking huge fangs on his face, and they molded them together. And they made Bane's mask even look like the fangs on the mutant leader. If you look at Bane's mask from back in the day, it's just a metal, like, it looks like a breathing apparatus with tubes coming out the side. 2 tubes. Just maybe different versions have a couple more tubes. Some have him beefed up, but he's always a luchador. Always a luchador. But so many parts of this thing were stolen from Frank Miller that I just can't believe it. I mean, the Dark Knight trilogy with Christian Bale, I watch it sometimes. People are watching it, whatever. It's a fun ride, but I don't take it seriously. And I'm never, ever going to take it seriously as Batman lore. So if anybody was to ever talk to me and ask me questions about Batman, you're only going to get things from Detective Comics. You know, Batman, Detective Comics. My favorite, as far as comic books goes, Batman was my man. I mean, he was the Dark Knight, and he was a guy, and he fucking wrecked superheroes. He could wreck superheroes. So much they had to put him on his team. The Justice League, they had to put him on their team to kind of, I guess, keep your enemies close, your friends close, and your enemies closer. So as I'm thinking they couldn't take any more of the Dark Knight and cut it up anymore, then I see this movie, The Joker. And I say, holy moly. The scene at the end of The Joker, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what happens at the end of The Joker, you haven't seen it by now, spoiler alert. Skip ahead 15 seconds. Now, the scene was stolen from The Dark Knight. The scene where he's in the crowd and he's on the talk show and he kills the guy on the talk show. But in The Dark Knight, he kills all of them. He kills everybody in the audience with the gas. And then he starts shanking Batman up, and Batman has to kill him. Batman he doesn't kill him, but, you know, he had to get rid of him. He had to take him out, disable him completely. Well, what I think about The Joker was that it was a really good story, and they should have not had the part where Bruce Wayne was involved. None of that should have been there. And they should not have named it The Joker. They should have named it something else. Now, I understand that making that movie without that being the Joker, with that just being some random guy and we're telling his fucking crazy story, which is amazing. Fucking guy drops a gun in a child's class. That is like an oh fuck moment. My heart was beating. Honestly, and I wasn't even there. But my heart was beating like in his chest. I felt like the clown. I'm sure sometimes we all feel like the clown, but at that moment I felt like, Jesus, that guy's ruined. And it was an amazing story. He made it all the way to a talk show and then blasted the dude, you know. That was amazing. I feel like he should have done that and then offed himself. And then they should not have called it The Joker or in any way associated it with the Batman story. Because now there's just a whole nother movie out there that I'm not going to pay attention to when you talk to me about Batman canon and lore. I'm not going to put that in there at all. None of it. Suicide Squad. You know, maybe Maybe. Honestly, if it's taking place in a future, like right after Batman left the scene and the Joker was locked up in Arkham Asylum and these little gangs popped up, and one of the gangs was, the Joker gang, because from what I understand, the Joker from Suicide Squad was actually Jason Todd, Robin. He was like, joke's on you, Batman. And he became the new leader he took on the Joker's persona. I think he was probably brainwashed by the Joker's insanity. The insanity that the Joker had, and this is kind of working its way into lore and canon. The insanity that the Joker had seems to be something that was given to him as well. That it's almost like a disease that gets passed around. And the Joker himself being just a guy who was infected by that disease. And I like that idea. I like the way they do that. It ties in with the Gotham series. I don't know if anybody's watched Gotham, the series, but it's fucking great. I love it to death, man. It's got that girl from Deadpool in it, and she's fucking hot as shit. And it's got this crazy little guy playing Penguin. Gordon is just they've got an awesome guy playing him. I wish I knew the actors' names. I'd shout them out. But I will say go to the show Gotham, and you'll learn all of that about who they are. It's a really, really good show. And, yeah, in that show, there's actually another guy who's kind of like the original Joker, and he, killed his mother and all this shit, and he ends up dying, but infecting the world with that insanity. And that's how this other guy ends up becoming the Joker. I'm not sure who he is. The guy who becomes the Joker, who's that? Vicky Vale. I think the Jack Nicholson Joker was the most accurate Joker. I do believe the Heath Ledger Joker was the most raw Joker. I think he put way more depth and evil into the Joker. In a way, it almost leads credence to the idea that the Joker's sickness can spread to certain people. Perhaps Heath Ledger himself caught it, just by playing that role, perhaps. But I've been around the block with this whole Batman thing. I've watched all the different ones. When I watched Tim Burton's Batman, I was like, this is amazing. I love it. The Catwoman one with the Penguin and the Catwoman, that was a great one. Michelle Pfeiffer was an amazing Catwoman. They were still imagining Batman as a comic book. We got to a point where we just wanted to make Batman some super serious thing, and everybody wants everything to be serious and realistic now. And guys, maybe you should just go back to comic land, man. Just get your minds in some loopy holes. Put your holes in some loopy minds. Slimy loops, loopy holes, loopy, slimy holes. Get up in them joints. I don't know, I don't really have much to talk about except those two things, and I hope everybody's doing their thing. Don't worry about unemployment. They're denying everybody. But do your appeal, because then you'll get it. Do your appeal. They're going to deny you, but do your appeal. So, hope you guys, had fun listening to me for a little while. I hope I could pass the time with you. I want you all to talk to me. I want you guys to talk back, because if you guys ask me some things, maybe I'll have something to talk about next time. Maybe not. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good night and fucking just rock out. Why did I say 3? 6, 9, 10. 10-5, episode 15. TSIME logging out.